Good morning and welcome to the 2025 ISUZU Ironman at South Africa African Championship and our first full distance stop of the Ironman Pro Series of the year. I'm Matt Lieto here with Marinda Carfrey, and we are so excited to bring you all of the action here today.
Yes, Matt, super excited for today's race. Our race today will take place in Nelson Mandela Bay. The athletes right now are in transition, making their final preparations before the race start at 6:30 a.m. local time for the men and 6:35 a.m. local time for the pro women.
Our pre-race favorite probably for the win today at the top, Magnus Ditlev, Martin Van Riel, Leon Chevrier is going to be in orange cap, Bradley Weiss also in an orange cap, Mike Phillips in that pink cap, Peterson is going to be in the yellow cap, Riddle in a pink cap as well, Florian Engert in another orange cap, and then Dennis Chevreau in that green cap.
Yes, and the remainder of the pro field will be in their red caps. These are just the notables that we expect to be up towards the front in the swim or for the overall win. Yeah,
we're going to see Andrew Horsfall-Turner leading a lot of that, or pushing that pace in the swim, as well as Joshua Lewis, who is fifth at the 70.3 World Championships in Lahti in the swim. So you're going to see those athletes also pushing the pace, and no doubt there's going to be some athletes that we don't know about pushing that pace as well. But here we go, just a few seconds before we get this race going in our first full Ironman of the year here at the ISUZU Ironman South Africa African Championship. The anticipation is killing me, and there they go, and they are off in a fast Jamie Riddle right in the middle. Obviously, you can see that he knows the conditions and, you know, kind of what the surface level is like at the start of the swim. He's already swimming in that pink cap right in the middle, that red cap just to the left of him.
We are going to go down to the pro women's start. They are about 35 seconds away from the start of their day.
Yeah, and we can see all those colored caps there. And the green cap is Marta Sanchez, pre-race favorite, a couple Ironman wins last year. And that purple cap is Maya Stage Nielsen. And then we had Els Visser in that pink cap, yellow cap, Anna Reichman. Green cap is Bergston. We got two red caps, and that's going to be Grosval Christensen and Gruber. And then in that pink cap is Clavel with Roos Astle in that purple cap with Lauren Jansen in that yellow cap.
And the ladies are away.
We can see Jansen take that ride, or that, excuse me, that line all the way to screen right at this point, but left when we have that overhead shot. We can see her doing a few dolphin dives, so far left of the screen. That's Jansen right there, and she is off in good position, but we might see that athlete on the far right side of the screen actually make up some time. It's all kind of who gets to that buoy in that right position. So all spread out here so far in the early stages of the women's swim. It does look like we have a group of four that is sitting on Jamie Riddle's feet, and we know if you're sitting on Jamie Riddle's feet that you are moving quickly. Right, so we know that for sure, and here we go. Here's that shot. That is Magnus Ditlev fighting the water. And, you know, I was able to talk to him on the Ironman Insider podcast just a few weeks ago, and his big focus this year is the swim. He knows that him losing that front group midway through the race in Kona last year is a lot of the reason he, you know, wasn't able to be in a position to win the race. Still got second, but he knows that the race win was kind of out of his hands, and he needs to be up there. And he's stayed at home. He's been training in Denmark because he got a swim-specific coach that watches him swim on deck every day. So he's completely gone full swim focus. And you look at that, and that is not someone that we would have called a bad swimmer 3 or 4 years ago. It's someone who didn't really swim at all. His first 70.3 race was actually here at the World Championships years ago as an age grouper. And he was not a good swimmer. He came from, I believe, a badminton background. But you look at him now, that's a good-looking swimmer. This type of front pack can be deceiving when you talk about it in those terms, because these are the type of swimmers that used to be the odd one guy that was a minute and a half off of the front pack, right? Like, this is a very, very elite
front pack
group of swimmers.
Yeah, and you see the athletes looking around. Martin Van Riel there. and they will run up the beach a short way and then make their way back into the water, taking stock of the situation. They know that they've got a gap. Count how many is in the group.
Exactly. They're going to see that they've got 4 in there, and that they're they have a gap. Nobody else is out of the water yet, but we can see there now that.
And you see Jamie Riddle there turning around. Come on, boys, let's go. Let's go. We've got a gap. Let's, the foot is on their throat, so to speak. Let's keep the pressure on, get a few more minutes, get more of a buffer to Magnus Ditlev and some of the other super strong bikers that will be in the second pack.
There you go. But yeah, it looks like tough conditions, but you can see the athlete that is at the front here, Marta Sanchez, is used to those conditions, has a stroke that's powerful, has that, 4
the loping stroke. Yeah. So you see athletes in conditions like this, or even on the flat, they'll kind of lope their stroke. So that's kind of a 1-2, 1-2, and they'll breathe every second stroke. And you'll see her that time she looked up and checked, the sighting. In conditions like this, you need to sight a lot, probably every 6 to 10 strokes. Athletes will look up and make sure they're staying on course. You don't want to go off course or swim any further than you absolutely have to. But Marta Sanchez kind of loping along, probably around a 4-beat kick, but definitely swimming very strong here today. She's a defending champion from Ironman South Africa last year, so she's looking to have another really strong performance. She had a great year last year, so looking for another really solid performance today.
Yeah, beautiful. And you can see, one of the biggest things that we keep hearing about this race course down here is all those spectators on the pier. We have athletes talking about on the run course, you literally can't go a meter without having a spectator screaming at you. So it's a pretty special place and a special atmosphere.
Well, also 3 laps on the bike as well this year. Yeah. So spectators are able to get out on the pier and see the athletes, see their favorite athletes. Then, on the bike course, they'll see their favorites come through 3 times, and then multiple lap bike course, a run course too. So a very spectator-friendly course, and I think the spectators love that. The families who come and support their people love that, and the athletes love it. The energy. Oh, you see her catching a wave. Oh, she just slipped off the back of that one. That was always a treat if you're able to catch it, a nice little wave into shore and have a moment rest. There you go.
Yep, and she, puts both of her arms in front of her, try to keep her head up, but get a little bit of glide. And, sometimes it's worth taking a stroke or 2 off to be able to get that. But these are kind of waves that are coming real short at the end. It's not going to be hugely impactful for these athletes. But we see our women's leader, Marta Sanchez, coming to the shore. And she's going to hit that timing mat here pretty soon. We'll see what kind of time she's at, but looks like she's still getting after it. She hasn't even looked over her shoulder yet.
Big gap, Matt. Yeah. Looks like a big gap to the next women behind her. I can't see anyone just yet, but she'll take a look around and see how far. 27:42 through the halfway. That's Marta Sanchez, our defending champion here in Ironman South Africa. Yeah, so we see age group athletes, an aerial view here. Hard to pick out the pros because they are coming around the age groupers, and they're in amongst it right now, so we are watching images of the amateurs. The pros are in there somewhere. They will be 46 minutes in. Actually, the men are probably coming close to the end. Josh Amberger in 2024 swam a 47:01, so a slower swim today for sure.
Yes.
Probably 4-ish minutes, just with that chop. That's just slows things down. Finding clear water or just finding your rhythm is just really hard when it's choppy like that.
Overhead shot of one of our pre-race favorites, Martin Van Riel, coming into the shore, passing some age groupers as they're finishing their first lap. He starts a second, but we'll see which one of these 4 athletes gets to the shore first. It looks like, it was Martin Van Riel that actually made a break at the end. So he's coming up in between these age groupers in that group of 3 chasers just behind him, obviously, to the right, as Martin Van Riel does a few of those dolphin dives, gets those knees nice and high, goes to the left side of these age group athletes finishing their first lap, and to get himself first out of the water rights here at the ISUZU Ironman South Africa African Championship. So he's not waiting around.
No, he's not waiting around. You see him get his arms out real quick. They pull the wetsuit down to their waist, run up the beach, make sure his race kit is flush to his skin. You don't want, and a little trip up the stairs there, but that won't slow him down much at all. He is on his way into Ruvi T1.
And so that was a 50-17 for Martin Van Riel. Jamie Riddle at 50-25. Schoenberg at 50-27. And Andrew Horsfall-Turner 50-28.
Athletes now making their way out of the Ruvi Transition 1.
Yeah, and the hard part of that chase group is that generally the athletes in the front and the lead want to get, someone in that group wants to get there first, wants to be first out of the water. So there's impetus in that group. The chasing group often loses time because they're like, okay, I'm with these guys. I missed the front group. This is where I'm at. It's not often where you have someone with firepower at the front.
Back to the women's race, and this is Marta Sanchez leading. She will dolphin a couple more strokes before it becomes too shallow, and she will make her way up into the Ruvi T1 and out onto the Zoot bike course.
She looks good, and again, still not. She doesn't have her foot off the gas at all. Still continuing to push the pace as much as she can as she heads now on firm ground and going to head up those stairs. She can get up those stairs a little more smoothly than Martin Van Riel did, and then just get herself out on the bike and continue to do what she's doing right now and be aggressive out on the course. And bummer to see Matthias Peterson with mechanical there. He was 8th in the Pro Series last year and had some great results here as well. We see Marta Sanchez with that Wahoo Element Rival swim split at 57-28. She doesn't look like she's looking for help from anybody. She's just going straight to it and seeing the true champions see those tough days as opportunities, right? Because that's another card. If you see it as a positivity, like, oh, this is tough, it's hard for me, it's harder for them type of situation, then you'll be able to take advantage of that. And we could see her running out of transition, the Ruvi transition zone, and getting onto that Zoot bike course. Another beautiful shot of the amazing surroundings here at the ISUZU Ironman South Africa African Championship. We're here at the men's race lead with Jonas Schoenberg, just about 40 kilometers into the bike ride with Martin Van Riel in second place, Magnus Ditlev in third. I'm Matt Lieto here with Marinda Carfrey, and we've got a great race happening, Rennie.
Yeah, really exciting race shaping up. Obviously, Schoenberg is riding phenomenally well out front, has the road all to himself. But now we have the Great Dane on screen, Magnus Ditlev. He is, I'm sure he has Martin Van Riel in his sights. At last check, we could see around 30 seconds separated Van Riel and Ditlev. Ditlev separating himself from the rest of the field now, and he is making his way up towards the front. Phenomenal cyclist. Spends a lot of time working on his aerodynamics, making sure, tinkering with his bike. He always has some sort of trick up his sleeve. Yep. 53 kilometers per hour right now in this section. And his average Ironman bike time is around 4:02:52. Course here today a little different than past years. Past years were 2 laps with a climb at the far turnaround. This year we have a 3-lap bike course, so taking that climb out. So historically, fastest times have been around 4:14, 4:12. I think it's going to be a little quicker here today, especially with this man here on screen.
And it's insane. Like, say that again. Average Ironman bike time, 4:02:52. That's crazy. I mean, 10 years ago, that wasn't a bike time that existed. And that's his average time. You can see great overhead shot here of him chasing.
And we're back with the women's race now. This is Marta Sanchez, our race leader. She has been leading from the gun. She led the swim, swam a 57-minute 2.4-mile swim, around 5 minutes slower than what she did last year. So conditions tough here today in South Africa. And she is holding steady on the bike. Chloe Lane from Australia sitting in second, was second out of the water and remains in second place right now. And then we have Annie Reichman starting to make her way through the field, sitting in third right now, and Maya Sage Nielsen sitting in fourth from Denmark. Then Lara Jensen sitting in fifth, and Anna Bergsten moving through, sitting in sixth place. and then Ruth Astle sitting in 7th. Some movement through the middle part of the women's field, but no changes out front with Marta Sanchez still leading the way. And we're back with Magnus Ditlev. He is now moving into the lead of the Ironman South Africa African Championship. Magnus Ditlev now making his move into first position.
Yeah, he's looking pretty confident as he does it, and smooth as ever. And the big question is going to be, you know, did he increase that effort, and is Martin Van Riel still that shadow as Magnus Ditlev goes past our previous race leader Schoenberg? And there's certainly a gap. Martin Van Riel is not there. He is that third athlete on screen, or the second athlete behind that athlete in white. So there was a gap, and I think at this point you can actually see a little bit different of a facial expression on Magnus Ditlev. Mouth was a little bit wider. That bottom lip was a little bit more soft, and often that's kind of what you feel as the athletes go over a little speed bump there. You see Mikey Weiss go over that speed bump, Jamie Riddle right behind. You're kind of pushing a different effort level.
But this is Chloe Lane from Australia. You can see the salt building up on her kit there. Definitely warm temperatures here in South Africa today for the athletes. It's going into the winter, so not fully summer at the moment. Sorry, the fall or autumn, we like to say down under. So not full summer, but still very warm when you're working at the rate these athletes are. The wind is, you know, drying the athletes off as well. So this is something you have to be careful with when it's windy and warm. You know, when you're sweating and you're feeling that sweat come off your body, it's a constant reminder to keep drinking, to keep taking in calories, to keep hydrating well. When the wind is up and that sweat is being dried really quickly, you almost forget that it's as hot as it is. It kind of cools you down, but you are losing a lot of fluids, and you can see that on Chloe Lane's kit right now. This is Annie Reichman, and she's making her way up towards Chloe Lane. She's now only 40 seconds behind, a little less than 35 seconds behind Chloe Lane, and she's made a minute up on Marta Sanchez in the last sort of 10 miles, 16-ish K. So Annie Reichman is rolling. She's coming up on, unless she, well, yes.
Yeah, she's...
In my last check, she's rolling through the field and looking really solid right now.
Yeah, no, she's cruising quite well, and continuing to do so, looking as if she's not spending any energy to do so. I mean, she looks as efficient as you could possibly.
She looks rock solid. There's not any rocking in the hips, in the shoulders. She looks like she's laying comfortably over her bars. She's obviously the cadence is still nicely up there. It's very smooth, the turnover. Yeah, she looks super solid.
I think we need to give a little bit of round of applause to Schoenberg. I mean, come on, man.
Yes.
This guy is killing it. He came out for just to have some fun, to try something new, see what was going on, and he's the one who's pushing the pace, trying to keep up with Magnus Ditlev. And, you know, obviously he's never done this distance before, but from the experience and the pedigree he has in Olympic distance racing, again, this athlete just raced in the Olympics last cycle, his running isn't going to be his weakness, right? Like, he is, as long as he saves some energy, this guy is going to be able to run. So that's a big if. But point being, I am quite impressed by this young athlete.
Oh no, Chloe Lane.
It's Chloe Lane with a mechanical, looks like a flat tire. And she's, you know, we have to be self-supported out here, so she's doing her best to take that off. We definitely don't want to see this. She's put in a great effort today, but she got her tire lever out, unseated that bead of that, was able to get tape off, and now she just needs to roll that tire off, get tire lever on the other side, and yeah, this is not what you want to see. It's not an easy fix for her either. And great. She's got neutral support coming that has heard that she's had an issue, and they're choosing to, instead of giving her a wheel, it looks like they're looking for something else to try to help her with this flat. So yeah, he is the neutral support now is trying a different CO2 container. Hand off to Paul. Paul, congratulations. You're the man. You win the supporter of the race award. That's the Spirit of Ironman right there. Love you, Paul. And, you know, she's got this support. So important
it looks
thing.
like they're going to take it off again. So maybe that... No.
Yeah, he's just making sure the bead wasn't quite
okay.
seated correctly, or maybe he saw a little bit of tube poking through. So hopefully what he does is let a little bit of air in to let that tube kind of form itself. And he's now having issues. There you go. And these wonderful mechanics even getting it in the right gear for her, making sure everything's set, the rim's in the right spot, nothing's rubbing, and putting her in a gear where she can get off and ride. And Chloe, no doubt, gives a thank you. Couple thank yous to those guys, and safely crosses the road and gets back on her bike. And, you know, while we were sitting there, I didn't see the large group go by. I would imagine that that the chasing group, air quotes group, you know, that had kind of the top 7 in it has gone by, but it's possible that that hasn't happened. But yeah, as much as that was a nightmare and kind of chaos, she handled it perfectly. I was super impressed by her. You never saw anything close to pouty or being upset. As soon as she realized she didn't have what she needed, she used her resources and reached out. And again, Paul Wittenberg, you're the dude from South Africa, giving the local love to the Australian coming into town. And she made all the right decisions that she could in the moment. And that was great to see. Here's our 2 chasers, Miranda. We got Martin Van Riel on the wheel of Jonas Schoenberg.
Yeah, absolutely. These two, Jonas Schoenberg, again, just been phenomenal all day long, leading until halfway through the second lap. So 90 kilometers into the bike is around when Magnus Ditlev was able to catch and overtake him. Martin Van Riel was caught by Magnus. Martin hung on until he could hang on no more. And now is riding with Jonas Stromberg. These two losing time to Ditlev. The last check, we were around...
it is
4:15,
yeah.
So over 4 minutes, and that was a little bit ago, but Magnus Ditlev, not somebody you want to give 4+ minutes to before the marathon. We see Magnus now getting around some of the age group athletes who are on their first or second lap.
But as now you can see, he's quite close. And here he takes that final turn into transition. There you go. Just one more corner to go. There you go. And he's off.
And he's off. He has to, so the dismount line, he must take his feet out of the pedals and off the bike, and before he crosses that finish line, he cannot cycle over the finish line over the dismount line. My apologies.
Yeah.
Racks his bike and runs off to the Ruvi transition. He will get rid of that helmet, exchange that for possibly a hat, some sunglasses.
Hopefully.
And put his running shoes on, and he will be out on the Hoka run course. Jonas Stromberg out onto the Hoka run course, 26.2 kilometers. That's 42.2 miles, and there will be 4 laps. This run course is rolling as well. Again, Ironman South Africa, not an easy Ironman by any means.
No.
Tough course. Windy, choppy swim, windy bike, rolling bike, and now a rolling run.
Yeah, there we go. And we can see the very quick transitions from those 2 athletes behind, and Schoenberg from above. He looks great. You know, he's no big surprise. We know, again, he's got the pedigree of being a fast runner. But, you know, you might think he'd run out of a little bit of energy pushing the pace at the front of his debut Ironman. for so long, but gets out of transition. Looked like it was like 17 seconds or so in front.
Right now, he doesn't need to do anything other than what he's doing.
Yeah, he's got a lot of time in the bag, that's for sure, and a lot of space to be able to, kind of dose out that time and give up as much time as he wants. But I think, Magnus is probably going to run, air quotes, conservatively this first half so that he can then dig deep, because I think he's got maybe a little bit to prove, but also he wants to win a world championship, and he needs to continue to put good time after good time in his belt to be able to have the confidence to win that world title. Martin Van Riel coming up to Jonas Schoenberg, second place on that shoulder, see if they run together at all. No look from either of them, even though they've kind of been teammates for a little bit, but we'll see if Jonas Schoenberg can get on the heels of Martin Van Riel, and the answer is no.
Nope.
Martin
Not
Van
so
Riel
much.
just running too fast, and good move. And we're here with our second place female athlete, Anna Reichman, but I don't think we're going to call her second place for very much longer.
Annie Reichman now approaching Marta Sanchez. Marta Sanchez has been leading this race since the start of the swim. 57-minute swim. Annie Reichman a little bit slower than that, but has been ticking away on the bike course, pushing all day long, and now she's coming up on Marta Sanchez. Will she roll right by her? Only around 10 miles to go, about 16 kilometers to go on this Zoot bike course for the women. Annie Reichman kind of doing a Magnus Ditlev a little bit here. She's sort of sitting. No, here she comes.
No, she's
moving out to the side.
It's kind of a faster section of the course, so like ideally it's hard. It's like, I don't know that you'd want to make the pass here if you had to choose it, because it's just diminishing returns. You just have to go harder to make that gap. But at the same time, if you can kind of get a slingshot and just move past quickly, it's, again, if you don't necessarily, like Marta probably heard a motorcycle, probably knew it was coming.
Historically, this bike course has not been a fast one. Blymall rode a 5:02, but again, a different bike course. So again, not apples to apples, but Reichman probably in the 440s. We will get that split momentarily, but she's taking her feet out. She opted to put socks on in T1, so she will not have to bother with that in Ruby T2. She early with the feet out, back in the aero bars.
Yeah, I think as we said with Magnus, sometimes you see all those big tents and you think it's that tent.
I gotta go. You get a fright.
Yeah,
I gotta take my shoes out.
And yeah, I'm curious to see that Katrine Christensen as well is going to be not very far behind these two athletes, and very close to the fastest bike split of the day behind Anna Reichman as she steps over the top two of that bike and starts running right before that dismount line. It's going to hand her bike off to one of our wonderful volunteers. No, she's going to rack that herself. What am I thinking? Look at that. She can do it all on her own.
Yep.
And Marta Sanchez just behind, coming around that corner, getting applause from those out on course. But there's some focus there. Moves her bib number to the front.
I like what I'm seeing from Christensen here too. She's again got that nice forward lean, nice high arm carriage. You want those arms to be up above your waist. You don't want that bend in the elbow to be more than 90 degrees. So she has that nice arm carriage there. She's using her arms to set her leg pace, but she's got a nice high cadence. She's looking just up the road ahead of her. If anything, I wanted to look more on the ground to, set her shoulders or head a little bit further down so she's not looking as far up the road. But overall, I think she looks really, really good. She's obviously looking up the road to the aid station and obviously now cooling herself, so the technique sort of goes out the window a little bit for a moment. But I love the turnover, and I love the energy in her stride as well.
Yeah. Back to our pro men, Magnus Ditlev through 17.8 kilometers, and we're seeing him still running well, 1:03.32 through that, and that's still holding a 2:32 average pace if he was able to hold this pace throughout the entirety of the marathon. But running well, looking smooth. Again, he looks, because he has such a large stature, it does look like it looks very different than Martin Van Riel.
The way to your best race is to focus on yourself and yourself only. Magnus kind of had that luxury coming into transition. He had the whole transition zone to himself. He was able to get out on the run, settle in, find his pace, and not really worry about playing any mind games with anyone. He just could go out and do his thing, whereas Annie Reichman wanted to assert her authority early in the marathon, put the pressure on Marta to win that mental game right away. And yes, a minute over the first, 3 kilometers or so is a lot of time, but it's still a race. And, when you're pushing super hard yourself, you're like, I hope I can continue this pace. I think I can continue this pace. And, you're in it, racing for the win, but also racing for those points. And Marta Sanchez, an athlete who could, race the Pro Series, and, you'd kick yourself if you took your foot off the gas now and, lost to her by a few seconds. So I think putting all of the women as far behind you as possible, putting as much distance or time between you and the athletes behind you is only going to help, when it comes to the end of the year, when, you tally up those points and see where everything shakes out.
Yeah, especially if you got athletes like Maya Station Nielsen and Els Visser, they're going to be up there in the series at the end. So if you have the energy and if you feel comfortable, clearly don't put yourself in a place where you're risking the win, because you want to win that race. But max points is 5,000, but you can take points away from those athletes behind you by racing faster.
Absolutely. And that's another interesting point for the men's race. I mean, Magnus, he said that his main goal is to win a world title. So Ironman East, he's going to get maximum points here today. Martin Van Riel, I'm not sure if he is going for the Ironman Pro Series, but, everyone else behind are trying to race as fast as they can and get as many points as they possibly can by the time they cross the finish line.
Martin Van Riel running in second place, 5:43 behind our men's leader at this point, Magnus Ditlev, who is on screen, and both running very similar paces. Martin Van Riel right now, if he held the same pace, 2:33.33, and Magnus Ditlev, if he runs the same pace, 2:34.58. So both incredibly fast potential runs, and obviously still in a battle to keep position or to gain position. You know who wasn't stressed about any of those athletes?
Jonas Strongberg.
No, he doesn't care. I don't care. I'm having fun, man. I'm doing this. He's like, can you imagine, because he's here on training camp. He's training in the area. Can you imagine what his squad is like? Like, we haven't had pictures of like him going by his squad yet, but they got to be going crazy for this guy because he's killing it. And this was one of, and I don't like saying this because I think in years past it's been overused, but this is one of the most stacked fields for an early season Ironman race that I've seen. And they knew that coming in. And now their buddy is one lap away from finishing on the podium and this stuff. It's got to be crazy. They're going to go nuts tonight.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal debut, just for fun, just for funsies. I think he's going to be pretty happy when he crosses that finish line, and also just to know that there is an Ironman career in your future. You have the capacity, the ability to race at this level for the Ironman distance. That's got to be pretty exciting as well. But Annie Reichman just looking so strong. She had a solid swim this morning. Marta Sanchez out of the water first. Annie Reichman 7:40 behind Marta Sanchez, made up that time. Slowly but surely throughout that bike leg, was able to get to the front of the race with Marta Sanchez off the bike. Katrin Griesball Christensen off the bike in third. running around the same pace as the two women in front. Right now, the fastest on course, Annie Reichman, or the fastest out of the top three, I should say, Annie Reichman, putting together a very good marathon. But we have Marta Sanchez on screen right now. Marta led the entirety of the swim and about 105 miles on the bike.
Yeah.
She's giving some high fives to the crowd again. She is the defending champion. She won here last year, so I'm sure she has a lot of friends on course and knows some of the locals, so handing out some high fives.
I think he was hoping more for 230s, somewhere in the 230s. He's going to be in the low 240s, I believe, when it's all said and done, but it doesn't really matter what the time is, especially when you see the athletes, not only that are behind him, but the athletes that started this race. We often look at the quality of the field by the finish result, and we can't diminish the fact of the athletes that were kind of spit out the back. You had Leon Chevalier, who he was fighting for a podium with against in Kona earlier this year. You had Matt Hansen, who was leading the Pro Series for so long, won so many Ironman races. You had Bradley Weiss that was in there as well. You had Svenningsson, who's defending champion, Peterson, who was second place last year, and Martin Van Riel and all the athletes that are still out on course that he's beaten. I mean, this is a hugely competitive field that Magnus has come to after a big training block, working on his swim, working on all aspects that he can, and has come out and shown that he's the man that's going to finish on top.
Yeah, absolutely, and he makes his way one last time past the Ruby transition. No need to go back in there anytime soon. I'm sure someone else will come and pick his bike up for him. And he's going to make a left-hand turn here and cruise down the magic carpet.
Yeah, he's gonna love seeing this straightaway when he gets there. Again, looking around that corner as best as he can. Just the final few meters to go, and there he is. Magnus Ditlev, your 2025 ISUZU Ironman South Africa African Championship winner. Did it in style.
Where he stops the clock with that run, again, he kind of knew he wasn't going to close it to Magnus, so ran, I think, within himself. But overall, phenomenal performance. He was sick earlier in the week. Martin Van Riel bringing it in. Second place, 7:49.27.
Yeah, and he's going to be 2:38.
That you have to get right to get a performance like this out. It takes some athletes years to get this right. To get it right on your first try when you weren't even really trying,
Right.
that says something. And again, you know, racing against the two men ahead of him, just an incredible performance by Jonas Stromberg from Germany. He will stop the clock in 7:52.18.
There you go. Look at that podium. Well-deserved, Marinda. You've got Jonas Schoenberg in third place, 7:52.19, one of the hardest Ironman courses around. First time, 7:52, not bad. Martin Van Riel, 7:49.28. Pushed the pace all day, but it was Magnus Ditlev who dominated, even though he got in some pretty dark spaces at the end of that marathon, but quite a podium, Renee.
Yeah, absolutely. A phenomenal performances all around. And as I look at the run splits and these three women are actually all running the exact same pace. In fact, Katrin Christensen is running just a second per kilometer quicker at this point in the race. So basically everybody has sort of slowed their pace from, you know, the first, you know, half marathon. Now this is the business end of the race. Annie Reichman definitely looks like she's hurting a lot more now. She's slowed her cadence. Things are starting to get a little more painful.
Yeah, you can even see just her facial expression. It's like, I don't know, there's less relaxation. It's almost taut to a certain extent, but you can tell there's some pain and effort that's going in there. It seems like maybe she's even laboring to one side a little bit. Can only say that because she was so stoic before. You can notice any small difference, but yeah, as you said, they're running the exact same pace, but last 13, 14K to go, that's when things can get weird if something's off, right? So all these women just being essentially 3 minutes away from each other in both directions, that's a lot can still happen.
Yeah, I think I see a little bit of a smile coming onto her face now. Then she zips up the race kit back into stealth mode. Annie Reichman, the all black figure on the bike, black kit, black aero socks. And she is moments away from the finish line here. Nelson Mandela Bay.
Yeah, and this is, there we go, getting a little bit of excitement. You can see this is a woman that wasn't sure. She said sometimes you don't know if you're going to try to go for the win. Sometimes you're just trying to finish, and look at that excitement, Mirinda. She is so pumped, and she is on that finish line carpet. And there she is, your 2025 ISUZU Ironman South Africa African champion, Anna Reichman, 8:51:39.
As the seconds tick away, Marta Sanchez, big smile on her face. I feel like anytime you cross an Ironman finish line, you're pretty happy.
Yeah.
It's a big day. It's a lot of work. A lot of preparation has gone into this. Marta Sanchez from Spain will be our runner-up here today in Nelson Mandela Bay.
And she looks great. You know, there's not a big degradation in her form. She looks fantastic.
No, yeah, that little niggle, I think, was just that, a little niggle that she dealt with, and was smart to take a week or two off running, but left off where she did at the end of 2024, running very well. She looks like she is doing just fine on the Hoka run course now, and she's enjoying the crowds. And on to the magic carpet. Katrine Griesborg Christensen.
Yeah, and these times, Mirinda, are super, super impressive. The ability of these athletes to just continue to break down barriers and improve on, you know, these course times that were out here last year. And, you know, we saw Marta Sanchez win with a 9:15 last year. And we're talking third place went 8:58. It's crazy. With a very slow swim.
Very slow swim, yes, this year. A different bike course from last year, faster bike course. But again, I think the level is just rising every single year, and we have a front row seat to all the action. The athletes enjoying that well-deserved athletic brew, or just a cool-off for each other. But nice beer shower all around.
There we go, and there is our results. Magnus Ditlev at the top of the leaderboard, Martin Van Riel, Jonas Schoenberg, Jonas Hoffman. Race of the day for the locals, Jamie Riddle moving himself up into the top 5, Micah Weiss in 6, and lots more good racing.
And over to the women's race, Annie Reichman finishing first. And as we go down top 5, that's Maya Sage Nielsen finishing in 5th, 9:15:09.
And yeah, great result from My Stage Nielsen to hold on to that. And thank you so much for tuning in to the 2025 ISUZU Ironman South Africa African Championship. And be sure to tune in soon with the Athletic Brewing Ironman 70.3 Oceanside next weekend, April 5th, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. You can watch on Outside TV exclusively in the U.S. and Canada. The Pro Series at Ironman.com. On Ironman YouTube, L'Equipe Live, and others. I'm Matt Lieto alongside Mirinda Carfrae. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to our athletes for putting on great performances today.
This copyrighted broadcast of World Triathlon Corporation may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without express written consent of World Triathlon Corporation.